Thanks for watching The Personal History of Games. I'm your host, Eric Kanius. Back in September of 2019, I was lucky enough to record a few episodes of the show during PAX West. Today's guest is Sarah Elmaleh, voice actor extraordinaire. You can listen to her in such games as Gears 5, After Party, For Honor, Pyre, Gone Home, and the list is growing by the day. She brings a wonderful energy to the games industry, so I was very thankful to be able to sit down with her and play Full Throttle, the fantastic 1995 point-and-click adventure game from LucasArts. Here's that conversation. Let's get a live play-by-play of your thoughts.
Okay.
As we go.
It hit such a deep button in me.
Whenever I smell, when I think of marine, I think of two things.
It's such a good,
Asphalt
it's so square in that
Throttle.
noir, hard-boiled.
You're dumber than
Oh, and wonderful Mark.
die so you can take over my company.
That's horrible.
That's horrible.
I'm not waiting for you to die.
You know, I never liked you, Rip. But you have business know-how and killer instincts that I respect.
I can't talk over this. How can I talk over this?
No, that's...
It's so
Who
good.
do you think you're fooling?
The shareholders.
The shareholders, obviously.
With real corn.
You've never even been on a bike.
You fraud, you fake gamer girl.
Their glasses don't even have lenses in them.
Yeah.
Your ears are fine.
It's just so iconic, god damn it. And the soundtrack. And this shot.
I've never seen this before, so this
It's so cinematic. It's so
wonderful.
good.
Whoa, yeah. Stuff like this.
Yeah.
Step on it. Let's find out who they are.
Cool.
It's so good. It's so good. And the shot, look at the shot. Ah!
It's quite the bike.
Yeah, and just a little Scotia 3D, right? Like first
Yep.
3D.
Cool.
So good. And proper like film style credits for fun. You know, here, this pains me. See that logo right there?
Uh-huh.
I had a Corley Motors key. I think I told you this on the panel, actually. No, maybe. I had a Corley Motors keychain, and it was like a limited edition studio only thing. And a friend of mine who used to work there gave it to me probably almost 10 years ago, and I lost it this year.
Oh, no.
And I'm brokenhearted.
Oh.
I'm so sad.
Yes, that was on the panel. We did bring it out. Now I'm sad.
I know. Isn't that awful? Isn't that so
It
distressing?
is.
Loss. The loss is so real.
Ugh.
Snooks. But look at this. I mean, like, you know, not that I think film style credits are appropriate for every kind of game or anything, but like, you know, actors being up front in this thing and all of the developers, I mean, just showcasing their names and their contributions, like from Chris Brown! I love you, Chris Brown! Oh, God, and this all-star cast. Gosh, dang. Look at that. Steve Bloom. Tress McNeil. Ron. Scum. Good old Scum. Michael, look at that. Look at that.
The testers are up there.
I know.
Very
right?
cool.
What an intro.
Yeah.
Show me an intro to beat that intro, and I will call you a liar. Tim. So this, I mean, I think that it must have all happened in this first moment, was me, you know, hearing Ripburger and then realizing it was Mark Hamill by seeing the credits, and me growing up loving Star Wars and thinking of Luke as this like whiny farm boy, and then like being like, what is this? What is this? Yeah, I mean, I just want to, at the top of this, let's just point out right away that like the narrative of game voiceover always having been bad and only just getting good is not true. In terms of a concentration or an average quality of voiceover performance, that is definitely raising and increasing over time. And I think, you know, growing up, I saw room for myself in the space because there was a lot of bad voiceover. I was like, oh, well, I could get in there, huh? But I also had these like shining lights of incredible, iconic, beloved performances to me to work with from the beginning. So like Chris Brown and this whole team has known what they're doing and how to do this for like forever. This game came out in 97? No, 96.
95. This
95. Holy hell. I played this in the Let's Lick the Dumpster.
All right.
I'm not putting my lips on that.
I knew you would say that. Should we open the other part?
I've touched it enough. I don't have any.
That's what no, that's
I love
not.
his delivery of stuff. This is great.
Phrasing.
I've woken up and worked.
I think this isn't the only time that we've had kick as an option, right? Because
No.
this is like the game with the kick option. I think it's like what it's known for having kick as a thing.
It's definitely in the modern point and clicks because kicking stuff is fun.
Yeah, kicking stuff is fun. We will eventually do it. Oh, 95. Oh, I played this in my mom's basement in middle school, and just like the smell of the basement and the like the room and all the self-help books she had on the shelves. Like for some reason, like I can just kind of put myself in that place really, really easily. All right, buds. Should we see where the rest of? I think our gang is gone by now.
Yeah. So was there a connection between... Oh, let me introduce the podcast first.
Oh, go ahead.
This happened last time, too. Open up. This is The Personal History of Games. I'm your host, Eric, and today joining me is Sarah Elmaleh.
Elmaleh.
Yeah, I was close. Very close. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. This is really special to me. Yeah, I think it's really good to remember to touch the old games that you fell in love with and why you want to be in this space and why they're so meaningful to you.
That's exactly why we're here. Thank you for summarizing the podcast.
Sure, no problem. Beautiful. All right, cool. Cool.
Graceful.
I fixed your door. It was sticky.
So what'll it be, Mac?
Just these templates are so, like, all of these characters are so stylized and such familiar, wonderful. Like, they're just hitting this tone so hard. I feel like maybe I haven't seen... Tone is hard. Tone is really hard. And so, like, a game that feels fresh, but also, like, familiar. Like, they just... You know what they're going for, and they just nailed it in terms of characters and in terms of vibe. Oh, man.
Totally. So I guess...
So self-possessed.
So seeing the bad voice acting and then seeing something like this would be a real... Like, it can be done.
Yeah.
And I could fix those bad roles by putting me in there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was like, I won't be the worst person in this space, which is nice. Sorry, I'm screaming.
No.
But also I have motivation and kind of like something to look forward to and reason to believe that people know enough about story and character that I would get work like this eventually someday.
Yeah. And that there is space for you to join in. It's not like a overly crowded area.
Yeah, exactly. And I think ever since seeing, certainly Chris Brown in those credits, like I've wanted to work with her, and so getting to work with her in For Honor and then on Exapunks and Eliza it's literally the culmination of a lifelong dream. It's amazing.
That's crazy.
It's nuts.
But also awesome.
It's pretty cool. Hey, reminder to Sarah. Hey, Sarah, when was the last time you remembered how nice that is? That's nice. Be grateful.
Yeah, so we're on the third floor of the Westin in Seattle, Washington, playing Full Throttle. At a video game convention.
Yeah.
In 2019.
Feeling real good about it.
And how did we get here? That's the whole...
How did we get here? Oh
yeah.
God.
So like starting back, like even I guess before Full Throttle, but this was like, as you mentioned, this is a big game for you.
This is a big game for me. This is a very big game for me. Yeah, I mean, and I think that I subsequently, like Full Throttle is sort of, puzzle-wise and gameplay-wise, there are stretches that aren't like my favorite stretches in adventure game history, but like we're going to be on a bike in a minute, or like it's sort of in the 3/4 mark, that's going to be like a grueling run. But vibe-wise and performance-wise, like I think I then fell in love with Grim Fandango and Curse of Monkey Island from this, but this is what made me a LucasArts fangirl. This is what made me buy those other games. And this was the first time that I played games that had amazing voiceover in them. This is like a real revelation for me. Yeah, I mean, I was playing Nintendo when I was little with my cousins, which didn't have as much voice acting, so much. And then, but then it's somewhere in the transition, because we weren't allowed to have consoles. We were only able to rent consoles.
Okay.
Back when you could do that from Blockbuster, you'd go to
Right.
Blockbuster and
Yep.
like rent a console.
I've been there.
Yeah. So somewhere I figured out a hack where I was like, hey, I need my computer for homework. Also, I can get games on it. So that was when I kind of became a full-blown adventure game gal, and to this day, it's one of my favorite genres. So, I mean, I don't know. We still got to get something out of this
What do you have?
bartender, don't we?
Yes.
Yeah, right. Well, sure.
What do
Let's.
you got for a headache?
A little sympathy,
Thanks.
but not much.
Thanks for clarifying.
You want something?
Yeah, who knocked me out, dude?
I want to know who knocked me out.
Maybe you just passed out. You should learn to handle your liquor.
What a jerk. God. I'm going to grab you by the
Actions right now.
collar.
It'd look better on your nose.
Oh, right. No, I'm going to grab his nose ring.
Are.
I love it.
Now don't mess around with me.
All right, all right. I got your keys, but I don't know nothing. They had guns. They told me to store you as long as possible.
Why?
I don't know. I don't know. I overheard them say something about an ambush up the road.
What else?
Nothing. It's all right.
So you were playing this in middle school. Was performance a part of your life before and around then?
Good question. I grew up doing, like, I was in an alternative school where I wasn't allowed to have video games, actually. So maybe there was a lot of, yeah.
How alternative was this school?
Very, very.
But like normal school doesn't allow video games.
But no discussion of video games,
Oh.
no discussion of movies, like no
Oh.
plastic toys. Like we're talking,
that is
yeah,
alternative.
very alternative. Nice shades. Look at that killer bike bag,
Yeah.
dude. Oof. Timeless. I wish my brother were here. My brother and I both love this game.
I'm on the road.
And now he loves motorcycles and fixes them up all the time.
I was going to ask if there was any motorcycle connection after this game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm terrified of them, and I will, I'm not happy that my brother rides bikes for his own safety, but
yeah.
he loves them and he loves tinkering with them, and I think it's like he finds it really meditative, riding.
Man, this is gruesome. My
child?
head had better
No, it's
work
not.
as
There's
a
another.
coach.
So two things I was thinking about
Now I
as
have to
far as
get you
Tim.
some help, I suppose.
Suppose.
Ah, quit moaning.
The little
I know
the
someone
scruffy
around
photographer.
here who can fix anything.
Was that one? Oh, that Tim went on to like just his love of metal later expressed itself in Brutal Legend, right? Of course, so it's here, and then also yeah, babe, yeah, Kath, Susie, right? Oh, and then also like photographer and pictures being a puzzle that comes back later in Grim Fandango. I'm just like realizing some of these callbacks in Tim's design and later games. Yes, right. So I was at this crunchy school where I wasn't allowed to do digital media of any kind or film, but we were supposed to. We're not supposed to. We were in plays from like third grade on. So every year our class put on a play, and so I was doing theater in quotes, as every year. So in that sense, yes, I was doing. In 8th grade I did As You Like It. I think 7th grade we were doing adaptations of like different mythologies. So I think in 5th or 6th grade I was still doing a play a year, but I was more of a dancer. I was doing ballet at the time, and I mean my family has been in the arts. My mom sang and danced as well. My grandmother was a dancer and performer on Broadway. Yeah, we're sort of an artsy family, I guess.
What was with the alternative school then?
It's like the school is designed to like. They just want you to get outside and learn experientially, but they're just very traditional. And
I heard you say.
I'm grateful for the way that they taught in a lot of ways, but I think it's also like a missed opportunity for kids to learn how to relate to digital media critically and meaningfully instead of just having it acted upon them. So like I think there's better ways of approaching a passive addictive relationship to games or to anything. Is to just ban them. I think that, you know what I mean?
There's got to be a middle ground because it has come up before of like when you don't have access to something, then some people will just want that
Right,
more and
exactly.
go way further into it than they would have before.
And hello, look at me now. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. So I was doing theater. I wasn't thinking of acting in that way yet until high school. High school, I injured myself and I wasn't able to dance as much. And so I fell sideways into musical theater. And that's when I discovered the kind of catharsis of acting. And I mean, theater was when I really learned how vital performing and acting would be to my well-being and to my sense of self and to my expression. It taught me that like taking risks was a necessary thing to do for anything worthwhile emotionally. Like being vulnerable was necessary to communicate anything true and real. It taught me the ethics of working with a team and kind of no small parts, kind of that mentality. Discipline and perfectionism and Yeah, and all of that good stuff. So I would say high school is when I really like connected with acting properly. But I loved games forever. I loved games forever, and I loved these performances forever. So this was already rolling around in the back of my head.
Hey folks, if you're enjoying this podcast, Being to Media has another new podcast I think you'll love. It's called Do We Like, and I co-host it along with my partner Robin. Robin, do you want to explain the show?
Thanks, Eric. Hi, I'm Robin, co-host of Do We Like, a podcast where Eric and I debate common people, places, and things to decide if we like them or need to leave them. Join us each week as we debate controversial topics like pickles, underwear, bubble tea, and Queen Elizabeth I. Subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, or come find us at dowelike.com.
So after high school, did you go into any training for acting, or was it just like the thing you did?
Right. So high school was musical theater, and then I went to Wesleyan University. I took a year off, and I did a bunch of stuff that wasn't acting. Actually, I was in between high school and college. I was in Vietnam for the summer. I was in Thailand in the fall teaching English. I was like sailing a boat on the Hudson. That was fun. But not a lot of acting. And then when I went back to Wesleyan, I did a lot of theater. I took classes. I did faculty and student productions. I wasn't a theater major. My mom is like the only parent in the universe to say that she was like to be disappointed that I wasn't a theater major. I was like, Mom? Like, what? Okay. She was like bummed that I wasn't double majoring. I was actually an East Asian Studies major. But I did do a summer in the British American Drama Academy, which is kind of the closest to conservatory, like 4 weeks of conservatory, basically, which was amazing. It was wonderful. We were doing movement classes and Shakespeare and contemporary theater and voice training and all kinds of stuff. And it was in Oxford. It was really special. It was an amazing crew of teachers and students alike. Actually, Emily Rose, who's famous for being Elena in Uncharted, and I were there the same summer.
Cool.
Yeah, so that was cool. But that was like the most rigorous that my training got. I mean, I continued to take individual classes. I studied voiceover after I graduated, and I, improv and things like that. That summer was probably the most serious training I did.
So what drew you to the voice?
Doing radio dramas in college.
Ooh.
I did radio dramas in college, and I actually did an adaptation of The Curse of Monkey Island as a radio drama. It was pretty great. We were a little too. The trick with adaptation is to be really brutal about cutting, or like adaptation is a special skill, and it can't just be like you can't be too much of a fan about it. You have to be really clear-eyed about what works and what needs to change. So it was a little too long, but but and we added a narrator. We had to accommodate different things for it being audio only, but it was so fun. And dare I say, I think that was one of the first times that I'd cast something. Let me think if that's true. Thank you for playing, by the way.
No
I really would be
a
useless
Interviewee.
interviewee.
That's
Where's
fine.
the shed?
I don't know.
Look at this very dreary screen.
It's very dreary.
It's very lonely and run down. I kind of love that about this game. It's very lonesome.
It's got a good sense of place.
It does have a good sense of place, and you are a bit lonely as a character. I love that his voice is also so interesting because it's not like a really aggro, gritty, tough guy. He's like got a soothing, low key. And so his voice is both like tough and soothing.
Yeah, he's very calm in his toughness.
He is. It's nice spending time with his voice.
Mm-hmm.
Mo.
Yeah, Ben?
Mo and her hot coveralls. Sorry, I'm going to stop talking about it. I'm going to stop objectifying Mo. Sorry. And her too. Like these performances, some of them are really like animation. I mean, it's a lot of animation actors, right? And animation direct. I'm sure that everything that's good about the voiceover in this game comes out of knowing how to direct animation voices and cast them, right? So, but some of these like performances are really natural.
Yeah.
Like she's just a lady. It's great. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I feel like it was treated like it's rather than it being video game voice acting, it was just voice acting for characters.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter like if they're going to be interactive or not. You just have a bunch more lines.
Yeah. Oh, adapting Curse of Monkey Island. Oh, that was one of the first times that I'd cast something.
Yeah.
Because I think my senior year, I cast I did a musical. I did an original, co-directed an original musical. So I cast friends for that, or cast people in that, and then I definitely cast this the Chris Montgomery radio drama, and I love casting. I've been referring other fellow actors to projects for now a decade or more than that, I guess technically, college. But now I'm actually doing some of it in life. I mean, as of this year, I've started consulting with indies and voice directing and voice casting, and it's a joyful thing. It's a really joy. I'm like I've been since this game a fan of voice actors and a fan of good acting, and I just love. So now I get to do that as part of my job, as part of a new kind of job that I'm taking on.
Cool.
Yeah. But like I remember many of these names. Like I flag people. I would track their performances. I would look forward to hearing them. And that's true of non-voice actors too. I'm a fan of actors. Let me in.
We have a key.
I love it. We just kick everything. The game where you kick everything. We're going to have to get some inventory stuff soon, huh?
I have a hose and a gas can.
You have a hose and a gas can. We're going to need that to siphon gas, probably.
Yeah. Getting into games acting. Was it just like you liked games, so you wanted to do that? So drawing the line, finishing the line between then and now. So theater in middle school and high school and college. Radio dramas in college. And some on camera, some film in college as well. I moved to New York after my year off. No, that's not right. That was between high school and college. So I spent a summer in Boston not doing any acting at all and wondering if I could do that. Because I was like, hey, acting looks like a bonkers, difficult, not very sensical career. So I was like, hey, I better make sure that I have to do it. So I spent a summer teaching English and being very, very sad and missing the alarm. Isn't there a dog?
Putting my lips on that.
Is the dog elsewhere?
I don't know.
The dog is wow.
Yes,
Hey.
yes. This is supposed to happen.
It is. Yeah. It is, yeah. I love the strategic use of 3D.
Does add a good punch.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that. Snazzy. Subtle, but snazzy. Yeah. I love Ben's high kick run. Oh my God. I love that, like, just in those two lines, you have now two quirky characters in that vehicle.
Yes, every character, that's what I found of the media I like most, is when the side characters are just as deep as the main characters. You just don't hear from them as much.
I feel like that's, people have feelings about Spielberg and he's sentimental and blah, but Spielberg clearly is a fan of actors because every single human in his frame is cherished and given and like well cast. And like the 5 and, under 5s, which is like when, a certain role size in the union contract, like when you have under 5 lines, everyone crushes, and so like I just pick Spielberg because he's an obvious example and like you can see it across all his movies, but like games that do that, that's great because if you know an amazing actor by their reputation, you can cast them in your lead role, but if you but it's really a measure of your casting ability when you like cherish and love and give attention and cast really, really intelligently for your entire cast.
Right.
I reckon, and these games are 100% exemplify that. All the LucasArts games. Dara O'Farrell should get a shout out too as well. I'm not sure did we see him in the credits? I'm not sure.
I don't recall.
I'm trying to remember. But yeah, I think he's been directing for LucasArts in the Lucas family for decades and decades, and he deserves a lot of credit here too. So I moved to New York. I always kind of expected to move back to New York. I love New York City. I was born in New York. I was raised an hour or so outside of it, but first in Connecticut and then in New Jersey, which is where I went to that school I was mentioning. Right. And as soon as I got there, I kind of realized right away that game voiceover and all character voiceover really isn't in New York. It's in LA. But I stayed. I was doing these other categories. I wasn't sure where I was going to, what I was going to commit to yet. And I just sort of quickly discovered that like I love doing theater with good people, but auditioning for theater isn't my favorite thing. Doing monologues aren't my favorite thing in general. I much prefer dialogue with humans. I think they're just so often potholes in the thing, like very, very few good monologues outside of Shakespeare. So I was just kind of like feeling out what I could live with as a category to focus in, and like discovering that voiceover auditions are dope. They're so chill. Yeah. You show up in your, whatever you're wearing, it doesn't matter. And you're like, hey, what am I going to do? And then you read it for 5 seconds and people are just way more laid back. And I was like, I could do that all day. Sure. So part of it was like a very conscious decision about what I wanted my life to look like in terms of a daily practice. And I knew that I loved games forever. I think as of KOTOR, I knew that someone had that job. I was really thinking, I knew that people were good at it, but I think KOTOR was the first time I pictured professionals having a lifestyle and a career focused on it. Right. Jennifer Hale, I think in that game was like, oh, you're really good. And someone's paying you to do this and go into a booth and do that. So I think I had games in the back of my head as I was going through that process of figuring out what spoke to me most as an acting outlet. And then I went to PAX East in 2010. I finally was like, I need to be serious about this and go where the games are. I didn't know what the Games Developers Conference was at all. That was the only event I knew of or where I could go. But probably from 2010, I was like, I started taking game voiceover more seriously and looking into it and really diving into it and meeting people. And then eventually I had to concede New York. I was like, I have to move. I'm in the wrong town. So that's when I moved to Los Angeles to really focus on it full time. I mean, I've been full-time voiceover for, I guess, since 2011 now.
Cool.
Yeah. That's a very long-winded answer, but it must cover something of what you asked.
So my fiance now lives in New York. She's at NYU, and we're from a city of 200,000 people. I can't imagine growing up anywhere near something like that. It's too much.
It's a lot. I mean, I liked actually growing up just outside of it. You know, my mom took me in to see theater and ballet regularly from when I was tiny, and I'm so grateful that she did. I saw really incredible, iconic performances that changed my life. Seeing Uncle Vanya with Derek Jacobi, who was supposed to be at Bada the summer I was there. I was so mad, but he was making a stupid Underworld. I was so angry. Derek Jacobi is like my favorite actor, and I saw him in high school do Chekhov, and it changed my life. And I was supposed to have him as a teacher, and I was robbed. But living outside of New York and popping in just for things and then coming home to a yard and whatever was nice. It was a nice way to do it. But Brooklyn to me feels almost like living outside New York. I mean, you're still connected to the subway, and there's a lot of the same pressures that are on you that are in the rest of New York. But me living in Prospect Heights, I felt like I got a bit of breath of fresh air, and then I could go into the density of Manhattan and kind of experience the high of that, as needed.
Yeah, there's definitely a balance that needs to be there that we were learning about as she lives there, and I visit a whole bunch. But boy,
it's a lot. It's a lot for sure. I love that energy. I find it's interesting because I think I was told that you were just talking to, or I saw Tom talking to you. I heard tell with my eyes that you were talking to Tom Francis about simulations. And the idea that I think there's an inherent indifference to simulations that feels very true to me. Because very curated, bespoke experiences, even like this one, I guess, they're so focused on you. They're so catering to you. They're oriented around you. And I love that. I like the authorship in it. But there's something that I love about Sims, and I think speaks to what I look for in places to live, or what I find, my values, is the idea that there's people moving of their own free will and on their own routine, and they have their own values and their own priorities. And I find that really centering about New York City. So me being on the subway and being I have my own concerns and my career's in the shitter and me. And then there's 15 other people who have totally different lives and languages, and they care about different things. I find that powerfully refreshing and relaxing. So for me to connect with a lot of the energies in New York City, while it's a lot, I find it energizing. The ambition of everyone and the inspiration and the kind of excitement that everyone has is really rejuvenating to me. And then also just recentering and remembering that my microcosm and my concerns are not the most important thing in the world is good. And so I look for that in games. I look for that feeling in games.
I'm trying to understand myself in a way by asking other people. That's why I asked Tom about design, because that seems to be a thing that really clicks with him. Mm-hmm. For me, it's visual stuff. I have a hard time learning by reading or learning by listening. And expressing myself in similar ways. For video is very much my thing. So just wondering what acting brings through, or what you get out of acting.
Sure, a lot. I think acting is an act of mutual affirmation for me. So I think that I experience permission to feel a lot of things that I maybe don't feel like I have permission for in normal contexts, because they're in a service of a project. Right. You saying that you need me to give this to you because it's telling your story is really freeing and wonderful for me. And the idea that it might give that permission to other people to feel those things and to feel seen and feel understood is really powerful for me. So I think, maybe I would not act if I were a person who just felt like my feelings were great and fine and I felt permission to feel them all the time. Maybe I would be a different human. Yeah. But that I think is the root of it. I think as a young kid I felt like I didn't have permission to be a lot of things maybe. And so acting was this moment to be these scary, dangerous, unacceptable feelings were important and valued, and that other people would get out of it, get something out of it and feel better about themselves. That to me is an externalization of of whatever I felt like I couldn't do for myself, but I could do for other people, I think is why I find it really nice. So like feeling seen and making other people feel seen is like a really motivating thing for me and a wonderful way to connect with people, I think.
I want to go, how did Game Dev World go? You mentioned it on when you did the panel, that was before then.
That's right.
Now it is after then.
No, it's after then. It was a lot. It was a lot, but I mean, the fact that it existed and that people, it's so funny because we on the back end were running around trying to fix things and like, take care of the stream. So we didn't get to connect with the audience as they were watching it so much. But when I did catch glimpses of it, people seemed to really respond to the talks. I was so proud and grateful for the talks that we got. I think they were in this beautiful spirit of, I just love, I feel like the talks that we chose were in alignment with actually almost similar values, either like personal experiences making games or approaches to making games that deserve to be heard and deserve to make people feel like their way of making games or the kind of games they want to make are okay and good and people want them. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So I loved our lineup, and I think that I think that people who caught the talks responded to that. So that was really exciting. So I mean, there's a lot for us to operationally fix for next year, and it was pretty exhausting. But I'm glad it existed, and I look forward to making it better and better every year.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations on it.
Thanks so much.
Success.
Thank you.
I don't know where to go.
I know. This game is hard.
This is as far as I got in the tutorial.
In the
that
tutorial?
I watched. Or like, this guy just showed up in the tutorial. I didn't know how.
Huh. I mean, I can talk about the ending if we're really wrapping up.
Yeah, let's get into the ending
while we do some stuff. We're gonna need that. We're gonna have to poison that meat, I think.
Poison it
for the dog. There's a dog somewhere. There's a junkyard somewhere.
This is the junkyard.
That's the junkyard.
He won't open up. I can't get the door to open yet.
Do we have?
That's a gas can.
Can we lock that? Does the chain open the door?
Yes.
Then yeah, lock the gate.
Got it.
See, if I pay attention, I can actually help you with this game. Instead of, talking about my background.
There you go.
Here we go. Now we can climb over. But we are going to have to make sure that the meat knocks out the pup. So
we'll see what happens.
There's a real jerk of a dog over here.
Ooh, funky music.
A little spy music. It's funny.
Junk.
Yeah, that pupper is a mean motherfucker. Can we swear? Sorry.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, that pup is not our friend. So we're going to have to figure out how to knock him out, I think. And we have to get something here, obviously. Something from the junkyard.
Yes.
Yeah, and also just like, and I also want to give a shout out to the dialogue. And I think that like, LucasArts adventure games have this like wonderful dialogue that's intelligent and erudite and goofy and funny. And like, that it was a huge impact on my sense of humor and my speech, I think, genuinely. I'm like a product of these games.
No, dog.
So that was really
You're supposed to see
treasure
me.
to me.
I'm in the light.
What a jerk.
Yeah, it's fun how these certain pieces of media definitely influence you when you get them at the right time.
Exactly.
Those like influence the way you speak and the way you think. And
Totally.
yeah.
I also remember feeling very dumb. These games did make me feel very dumb. And I think it was only growing up later that I was vindicated by the fact that like the puzzles were obtuse and like things were hard. I was like, for years I thought I was a dummy. Ooh-wee. And I spent so much money on the 900 number for the LucasArts 900 number. Oh my God. Getting hints. So much of my parents' money. So funny. It was really exciting when I realized that other people thought these games were hard. I thought it was so stupid.
It is comforting.
It was comforting. It was very comforting.
But we do have to start. We have to wrap up.
So I'll just give a shout out to the
game?
end. So the end of the game, not spoilers, I guess, massive spoiler alert if you haven't played Full Throttle, is that Maureen takes over her dad's company. And they're in the back seat of the car, and there's just the tension between what's corporate and what's authentic and real, like between a corporate company and like being a lonesome biker on the road. Like these things are at odds with each other, right? And Ripburger and Corley and Ben are, representative of these different things. And so when Maureen takes over her dad's company, they're in the back seat of the car, like Maureen and Ben have become closer, right? And she's like, yeah, we're going to be in touch. Like this can be a thing. But then she like has to take a phone call, and he just kind of Irish goodbyes out of the car.
Right.
And so the idea that like this game builds up this really lovely grown-up romance between these two characters, and then really just implies that it's not going to happen at the end of the game. And it's like the end of The Graduate. It's like really real and so sad and like subtle and amazing. And I was like, wow, that is like so sophisticated. Mm-hmm. So that's some really landmark stuff. That always stayed with me. It was like Yeah,
No
like
kidding.
he's just got to go out and be on the road. These two people can't reconcile their different lives.
Yeah.
Sad.
It's nice when games do stories like that instead of just doing the usual
Agreed.
stuff.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to promote right now?
I think promote right now. After Party is coming out soon.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about After Party. I have a panel tonight. Seems a little like I don't think
This
that'll
will be
work.
a few months from
Yeah,
now.
this will be in a few months. Well, a few months ago I had a panel tonight.
And it went great.
And it went great. After Party is coming out soon. I'm once again directing and co-hosting the Indiecade Awards. So if you're at Indiecade with Asher Vollmer, who's a treat. And I love that. I love that every year, just getting to celebrate wonderful, wonderful indies. So yeah, those are the main things. I have another big game. I don't think I can talk about it yet.
Ooh.
That's the main stuff for now.
Cool. Mm-hmm. Oh, here's my question for the guests.
Yeah.
The podcast is called The Personal History of Games.
Yes.
The abbreviation is PHOG.
Mm-hmm.
What is better, FOG or PHOG?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Fog or what was the other one? PHOG.
PHOG.
PHOG. I think PHOG probably.
Oh, wow.
That's where I'm going to go. Fog. I remember I saw like probably 11 fish shows. This is my dirty secret. Let's just air it out now. I saw like 11 fish shows in high school.
Oh, no.
So that was me. And calling people fans serves nobody. So like the PHANS is not
Right.
something that works spoken aloud. So on behalf of that, my lifelong desire to fix that, I'm going to steer you away from fog. How's that sound?
That sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for saving me from that potential pitfall.
Yeah.
But that wraps up this episode of The Personal History of Games. Thank you so much for coming out and taking part.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been really, really nice to revisit this wonderful little game. And to see you again.
Yeah, nice to
Yeah.
see you again too. And
Yeah.
to see this game for the first time.
Hey.
Hey. Bye, everyone. Thanks.
Bye.
You can hear more of The Personal History of Games on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, or wherever else you listen to podcasts. If you enjoyed this episode and want to help us out, please leave us a rating and review. For updates, you can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at PHOGPod, or check out our website at personalhog.com. The show is hosted and produced by Eric Kanius, executive produced by Robin Lands. Do We Like is brought to you by Beamed Media, a Canadian podcast network.